Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard with you live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Big program lined up today. Nick Whalen on the program in 30 minutes. A look at Monday Night Football tonight. Warren Sharp on the program. Same with him. Glenn Clark in Baltimore will join us. We will get into the good, the bad, and the ugly today. We have I Don't Want to Overreact, but Paulie with Win Some, Lose Some in 45 minutes. And obviously we'll hit week 4 numbers and a lot of reaction to yesterday's slate as well. Horrific beat, but we're going to begin with some of the big injuries, Paulie, stemming from the week 3 weekend, one of which for the 49ers. Nick Bosa, it is confirmed now, out for the year. They had their fingers crossed. From the reports I was reading yesterday during and after the game, they initially thought they avoided the worst-case scenario. Those reports were wrong. So now with the torn ACL, Nick Bosa, who is one of the best edge rushers / defenders in the entire sport, was like 9-1 to win Defensive Player of the Year, can have a big impact on almost any game that he plays in. Done. That stinks for the 49ers.
Every year, right? They can't avoid it. They can't get away from it. You somehow go 2-0 with your backup quarterback and Mac Jones, who was so bad and no one wanted. You make that work. The defense looked great. And then you get this news. So I know what you were concerned about in the preseason, about the attrition and everyone getting hurt. And it just wake up every Monday. Oh, this guy's out for the year. This guy's out 4 to 6. This guy's out for the year. But it's just with this particular team, it's every single year. And it's not just sometimes it can be cluster injuries, what that's also happened. But it's their big name players. Bosa, Kittle, McCaffrey.
It's not the fringe guys.
Williams.
Purdy.
I mean, it's just absurd.
Sure. Sometimes it'll be the fringe guys on top of their star players.
Yeah.
And it's one right after another, like every single year with the 49ers. One betting thing to look at here is if the 49ers can win this division and somehow hang on with, down this many guys already, if they can win 11 games in that neighborhood, I'll tell you what, already you can see it coming. Kyle Shanahan is going to have to be in the mix for Coach of the Year. It's a patchwork group already.
That's going to be a good race, though.
Yeah, no
Big
doubt.
Movement on Steichen. If Indiana Jones keeps this up.
No, I know.
How about my guy, Todd Bowles? 80-1 was available in some spots in the summer.
Well, that would be another one, right? Because how improbable is it that they're 3-0?
Yeah, they've trailed in the fourth quarter of every game.
And they've won, all 3 games by combined 6 points? Mm-hmm. Come on.
Yeah.
And they're losing guys again. Mike Evans, I mean, the streak of 1,000 yards every year in his career, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, bad news coming there. Right?
Yeah.
That's a big injury. Could be lengthy.
But they will get Godwin back.
Uh-huh.
They will get Wirfs back on the O-line.
McMillan.
They will get McMillan back. So that's good. And, oh, by the way, they could, in theory, win that division by default.
And 1 seat's in play. Big game against Philly coming up. Can't wait.
Yeah, they're going to be up against it with all these injuries.
I don't know. I mean, Philly finally showed something in the second half with the passing attack. They had 33 yards in the first half.
Yeah.
They couldn't get Barkley going.
I'll expand on that coming up in a second. Also, CeeDee Lamb now, all the reports out there saying 3 to 4 weeks he's going to be out.
Mm-hmm.
They love running him on the reverse.
Tough assignment now.
I wonder if they're going to wipe that out of the playbook moving forward.
Well, he's not going to be the only guy that's out, too. I mean, Dallas has a plethora of injuries now. And then they just can't stop anything. I mean, it's just how bad is that defense?
Comical.
Caleb looked like a Hall of Famer. Oh, man.
All 4 of his touchdowns were at least 10 yards down the field.
Yeah.
Right? So, great game plan by Ben Johnson yesterday. Caleb capitalized here. So, let's say that he misses a month, CeeDee Lamb. It's Green Bay this week. That will not go well for Dallas. It's at the Jets in week 5. They're at Carolina after that. And they play the Commanders on October 29th. That's their next 4 games. Those are some winnable games, though, even without CeeDee Lamb, I would think. But, Paul, long-term here, it doesn't matter because that team is not going to be a playoff team. And Uncle Lou Finocchiaro has to be smiling from ear to ear with his very strong stance in the summertime here on this program, saying everything under on the Cowboys this year.
Mm-hmm. And the press conference was comical after the Parsons trade when Jerry's saying we're a better team.
All right. So we've been doing this for a long time. I can't recall a beat worse than the Rams yesterday.
I think it's the worst all time.
I do too. I was racking my brain since the game ended, and this morning getting ready for the show as well. I can't think of a worse beat.
The Eagles had to hit like a 10 or 12 team parlay just in the second half. They're down 19 in the third quarter.
That's annihilation city.
It was, yeah. You're down 19 in the third quarter. You get booed off the field. You have 33 yards. You come all the way back, but then the Rams had 8 chances to put the game away and couldn't do it. Why is McVay throwing the ball 3rd and 1 every single time?
No idea.
And once you throw a bomb on 3rd and 1, then you're committed to run. They're going to run 4th and 1, and the defense knows what you're going to do.
Yep.
And they stuff the play. And then you block not 1 but 2 field goals. They somehow backed up inside their own 5, convert 3rd and 10 to Brown, which could have been picked at the very least, knocked down. He catches it. They convert 4th and goal and score a touchdown. And then you, again, have to block the field goal, and it has to bounce right up to the fat man, and a D lineman returns it.
And nobody can be even in the area for the Rams.
Yeah,
and then he
bring them down. And why would he even do that? Why not just fall on it and say we're good? Because you saw the TCU kid who had a pick 6 and he ran out of bounds. I mean,
I would say that in his position, what does he weigh?
Isn't he 300?
We'll call it 300 plus.
Yeah.
In his position, how many times in his career will he be in a spot to take it to the house like that?
Yeah, that I understand. But it's also the scenario where the big guy gets the touchdown. It pops right up to him. The other guy was probably just going to jump on it, but he falls down and then knocks the holder out of the way. It's like a 12-teamer occurred in a span of an hour for you to lose the Rams bet.
Yeah, that's 26-7 in the third quarter. Their win probability at that time was higher than 95%.
Correct.
So but to me, how did Devontae Adams drop that one in the end zone, by the way? They never showed a good replay. Like, did the defender actually get a hand on the ball? I never saw a clean, crisp replay on that. But here's why the Rams, Paul, they were the right side in that game for 59 minutes and 58 seconds.
Yeah.
And you can't cover.
They had the same probability as Green Bay. Denver was 89% too. All 3 of them lose.
Yeah, so this is why, and look, as someone on the Rams for the future tickets here that I have, like 1 seed would be nice. That game made me sick yesterday. Here's what happened with the Rams, and they have nobody to blame but themselves. Their drives. They had a 1st and 10 at the Philly 37, settled for a field goal. They had a 1st and goal at the Philly 6, settled for a field goal. They had a 1st and 10 at the Philly 22, settled for a field goal. They had a 1st and 10 at the Philly 36, another field goal. They had a 2nd and 4 at midfield, punt. They had a 2nd and 4 at the Philly 49 and a 3rd and 1 at the Philly 46, turnover on downs.
Yeah, there it was. Pass incomplete, run stuffed.
They had a 1st and 10 at the Philly 26, block field goal on 4th and 2. What is that, 6-7 possessions?
Yeah. Why are you throwing bombs too, 3rd and 1?
Bingo.
Move the chains,
yes.
man.
You should have been up by, and this is not an exaggeration, it's coulda, woulda, shoulda, been up by 4 to 5 touchdowns in the entire game. Yep. They were killing Philadelphia.
Yep.
And the Eagles could do nothing on offense. Barkley, no chance. The passing game, non-existent. There's a reason why the champs got booed off the field during the game. And you could not cover plus 3.5. Mm-hmm. Here's how bad it is. A buddy of mine who used to gamble on sports and used to cover it like 20 years ago, gave it up, doesn't do it anymore, long time ago. He reached out to me after the game. I haven't heard from him from a gambling-related nugget in more than a decade. He goes, oh my God, where does that one rank up there all time? He's even paying attention and saw something like that and noticed how bad it was.
Yeah.
And I just told him it's the worst that I don't want to be a prisoner. That's the worst I can remember.
Yeah, all that. Everything you ran down beautifully, yes. You can get a pick 6 in that situation. You would think driving. We've seen that. But to block the field goal, 300-pounder takes it back for the second time, and it bounces right up to him.
And nobody from the Rams even coming close to track him down or anything. He had a convoy.
9 defensive or special teams touchdowns yesterday, most since 2020.
Oh,
are you afraid to kick a field goal now?
Well, how many blocks did we have yesterday?
It's a jailbreak. Maybe these guys I don't know what, if it was just a fluke or what, but you're right. There was a ton of it. Happened, bam, bam, bam. Cleveland, Jets, twice with the Eagles.
Yeah, twice.
Yes.
Not once, twice. And but this is why we love the sport, right? At the same time yesterday, you had Cleveland coming back or Green Bay blowing that game on the road. You had Pittsburgh and New England, which I don't know how the Patriots didn't cover that game, win the game outright.
Well, turnovers, yeah.
Yeah, you had the Rams, Eagles. The Jets, Buccaneers was absolutely hammered drunk. And then Houston, Jacksonville. Nico, did anybody notice? Was anybody paying attention? They're going to win that game.
Yep.
Nico Collins has it inside the 15-yard line. Fumbles, Jacksonville ball. That's it.
Yep.
They lose.
Mm-hmm. I will say this, though. You could see the Packer thing coming.
Yeah, you could.
They wouldn't put them away. But all they had to do was run the ball 3 times and punt, because Cleveland was not going to score a touchdown unless Green Bay handed it to them and Love handed it to them.
I agree.
They could have been there all day. Cleveland was not going to get a touchdown unless Green Bay gave them a gift, 1st and goal, and they gave him the gift. Just run the ball. And he makes a stupid decision. And then you're still going to win the game, and they block the field goal. And then the kid who misses week 1, of course, hits it from 55. Go figure.
Yeah, no doubt. So everybody wants to talk about the INT that Love threw as well. I get it. But this guy's now been a starter for 3 years in the league. On 3rd and 1 at the 44-yard line, I think it's the second to last play in the third quarter. Nothing's happening on this play. How does he take a 15-yard sack? Nobody's even close to him. Then that awesome rookie Schlesinger comes. Dude, you have 3 minutes to throw the ball out of bounds.
Yep.
And you just let him come and take you down like a wrecking ball? What are you doing, pal?
Yep. Get
rid of the ball.
Yep.
All right, really good Monday Night Football game to bet on tonight. Lions were great last week against the Bears, but teams in their spot are below 40% ATS over the last several games. We'll give you the details on that next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We'll dive into the Monday night contest tonight. Ravens laying 4.5, most spots, total up to 54 now against the Lions. Really good game on paper. Nick Whalen joins the program now with RotoWire. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on X at WHA1EN. Nick, good afternoon. I would start by asking you, saying thanks for the time, how you been, but I understand that you were on the Rams yesterday, so I probably can have a pretty good idea here of how you're doing today still.
Yeah, it's more of a condolences situation, I guess, than it is, how was your weekend or anything like that. My heart goes out to anyone else who was on the Rams, obviously a popular dog pick yesterday. And I think that's going to be the worst beat of the year. I really think it is. I'm sure something bizarre will happen, midway through the year that will rival this, but I was telling you guys off air, it never crossed my mind. Even though the Rams had just had a field goal blocked on their last possession, you're expecting a team coached by Sean McVay, especially, to adjust for that. And for that to happen on 2 consecutive possessions, it's one thing to block the field goal, right? As a Rams bettor, you don't necessarily care. If you're on the 3.5, the 4.5, you don't really care if they make that field goal. You don't care if they win straight up. You're just thinking, all right, just get this thing off and we're fine. It's one thing to block the field goal. It's another thing for the ball to ricochet 15 yards back, and then it's picked up by Jordan Davis, who unnecessarily ran that all the way to the end zone. I don't really have a problem with that concept, but it just feels like teams in general, these last 5-10 years don't really do things like that anymore. You're so conservative. You're so worried about the worst case scenario. Everybody should be yelling to get down. Jordan Davis at no point considered getting down after picking up that ball.
Yeah.
Also, think about this. So it's only week 3. A lot can happen between now and the end of the season. These two teams are probably 2 of the best teams in the NFC. Yep. That's, Captain Obvious, hello. But what if this game is like week 13, 14, 15, and that's how it finishes with the same exact point spread with the 1 seed on the line? Can you imagine the reaction to it then? Because we might forget about this between now and then, but that's what we're talking about here potentially.
Yeah. No, it's a fair point, and I think this will probably get lost in the shuffle, unless I guess the LA Rams, end up missing the playoffs by 1 game or something like that. I think this is something that will end up fading away, much like the Eagles, who were 2-2 after 4 weeks last year, by the way. Remember, they took that really weird loss to Atlanta in week 2. They got blown out by the Buccaneers in week 4 and hit the gas after that. They haven't really lost since then. And, outside of that Commanders game, and, these early season results tend to fade away. I think as long as both teams kind of reach the potential that we think they will. I don't think this is something that's going to haunt the Rams the entire year. I don't think Green Bay is going to be haunted by that Cleveland loss. I think these teams are going to be just fine, but it absolutely matters when it comes down to the seeding conversation when we get to December.
All right, let's dive into tonight's Monday night game. It's been a struggle for Mark Andrews so far. He is on the bench in one of my bigger fantasy leagues this week, so I know it's probably going to happen. He'll owe 7 for 112 and 2 touchdowns. Are you betting it that way? Do you think he scores a touchdown tonight?
I think he could. I think this is a decent spot for Mark Andrews. Tight end has been just a bloodbath position so far, this season, especially if you're talking fantasy. I mean, we're really down to like 3, 4, maybe 5 tight ends you feel like have to be in your lineup every week. Otherwise, you're just spinning the wheel. And Mark Andrews, has been outside of that conversation. But anytime touchdown tonight, you can get that at plus 205 right now over at DraftKings. Lions play a ton of man defense. Mark Andrews traditionally has had a lot of success against those looks. He does have a couple of red zone targets this year. Baltimore's put up plenty of points these first 2 games, but it hasn't necessarily been the names that you'd expect, right? We're seeing a really high target rate, for some of the receivers. We've seen DeAndre Hopkins in the red zone, Zay Flowers, Tez Johnson, all these guys kind of coming out of nowhere. But I do think this is a spot where Mark Andrews could reassert himself. And they have Isaiah Likely probably coming back to this team next week. So if there's ever an opportunity for Mark Andrews to take advantage of, I think it has to be tonight.
All right, Amon-Ra St. Brown really popped last week when the Lions offense blew up. They scored 50-plus against the Bears. Love the guy. Do you think he has another big game tonight, and how do you want to approach that?
Yeah, I'm still kind of deciding how I want to approach St. Brown. And I think the anytime touchdown is what I've settled on here at plus 130. I don't mind the receptions. That's up to 6.5 at some books. The yardage is a little bit unpalatable, but I just look at the red zone targets already this season for Amon-Ra St. Brown. 6 targets in the red zone. That's second among all wide receivers in the NFL. And, 30 of 32 teams have played 3 games already. And Amon-Ra St. Brown still second in the league. So I think that volume will be there tonight for Detroit. The running game, it's been fine. Obviously, it looked much better last week than it did in week 1, but I don't think it's quite at that elite level that it was last season. So I think we will see some more reliance on that passing game throughout the night and especially in the red zone.
What do you think in Lions team total?
Yeah, this is one I really like, guys. Lions team total at 23.5. I like the over here. This number is hit in 16 of the last 20 games for the Detroit Lions, including the playoffs. That dates back to the start of last season. And look, I think the Lions that we saw in week 2 are closer to the true version of the Lions. It's probably somewhere in between week 1 and week 2, but I think it kind of took this offense a week to wake up. They're always hunting big plays. I think you can get those against the Baltimore defense, which has a lot of names, but gives up more big plays than it should. That secondary still a little bit shaky. We, of course, saw the Bills pile up a ton of points, a ton of yards on this defense in week 1. And guys, even the Cleveland Browns put up 323 yards of offense on the Ravens in week 2, 4.5 yards per play. They outgained the Ravens in that game. Baltimore also down Matabike. They're down Kyle Van Noy, a couple key pieces on that defense. So even if the Lions end up losing this game, I like them to go over that 23.5 team total. All
right, very good. So you're expecting a good game tonight, then, the way it sounds. You can follow Nick on X. He's at WHA1EN, and he is with RotoWire. He joined us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Thanks for the time today, Nick. Best of luck with the bets tonight. Enjoy it, okay?
Anytime, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it. There you go. He joins us every single Monday night, talking Monday Night Football overall. Over 23.5 is the number that he bet with the Lions team total.
What are your concerns of Goff?
So that's...
It's outside, but it's not going to be cold, and
I'm glad you asked.
Elements are going to be fine, so...
Can we say that problem is behind him?
No.
Let me point this out. I should have pointed this out and then asked you. The 27-13 loss at Green Bay in week 1. That was vile and nasty. Did not go well first game without Ben Johnson. Mm-hmm. They won at Green Bay 24-14 last year. They won at Chicago 34-17 last year. They won at San Francisco, down a lot of guys, 40-34. If you go back to 2023, a couple of losses, 28-13 at Chicago, 38-6 at Baltimore. But he won 34-20 at Green Bay. I think that was the game Matt LaFleur was crying at halftime. They won at Tampa 20-6, and they started the year 21-20 victors over Kansas City on the road.
Yeah, it's more so weather-related. Cold. More going back to the Rams, though, also.
Yeah, that's the thing, I think, right?
One. Yeah.
So I think if...
There was a dog performance in Chicago when it was freezing, and he just had some...
I think that might have been that 28-13 game.
Mm-hmm. But here, yeah, shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Gibbs receiving, very popular, too. I mean, I think Gibbs should be able to go over his receiving prop and get that, which is which is low. 25 seems low, especially how many times they're going to throw to him.
Sure. You need a loss here by the Lions because this is one, I think, because you bet them under 10.5.
Yeah.
And when you were looking at the schedule, I think that this one, you would put a check mark next to Baltimore, probably saying that's more than likely going to be a loss tonight. And one of the reasons why I want to take, the under here.
Well, big one, too. I mean, the Ravens, I know it's a mess with that division now. Pittsburgh somehow won, didn't play well. Rodgers had 140 yards. Bengals embarrassed themselves, could be 0-3. And you lose your quarterback. But you go to Kansas City next week, too. Now, you should win, but still, there's some tough games coming up. You don't want to look up and, break here, break there. Suddenly you're 1-3.
Okay. So here's one thing I would look at, too. If the Ravens lose the game tonight, one of the first things I would look at either late tonight or tomorrow morning is Baltimore to win the division. And then if they were to go to Kansas City and lose again to go to 1-3 under your scenario there, I'd bet them again to win the division. Mm-hmm. Who's good?
Steelers are not good.
Steelers, I think there's a good chance the Steelers stink.
Yeah. 5 turnovers. Stevenson, and what happened?
Zero business winning that game.
Yep.
The Browns, I wish they were good because it's like...
Oh, they're going to waste this defense.
Again.
It's so good.
How many years are we going to talk about this?
Uh-huh. There's a fun prop up at DraftKings, over or under 2.5 quarterbacks used this year. And Dion came out today and says he thinks Shedeur will get a start, so...
Oh, I would... So...
I don't know when.
I mean, that would start.
Yeah.
Because Gabriel...
3 different guys have to start.
Oh, I'd bet the over on that.
Get that, yes. Keep the tweets coming. And email ftm@vsin.com. Randy McKay with a good one. Josh Rosen back to throw Hail Mary. Down one, what was it, down 1 or 2? I was on Stanford in this game. He fumbled, scoop and score the other way. They picked it up and ran it in.
So for UCLA.
UCLA, Stanford, some of the bad beats and what happened. But that's, some of the responses are ridiculous. One guy brought up the Colts game against that. The guy missed the field goal. They called a penalty. Okay, that happens all the time. Yeah. They're up 19 in the third quarter, getting 3.5 with a 96% win probability, and several conversions, 3rd and 10, 4th and goal, 2 blocks, 3rd and 1 can't get it, 3rd and 1 can't get it, 4th and 1 can't get it.
Well, here's
ridiculous
the thing.
What happened.
If you want to,
15 different things had to happen for the Rams to lose and not cover it.
Right. If you wanted to expand into college football, into soccer or baseball, sure. But if we're talking regular season of the NFL, that's as bad as it gets.
Yes.
I mean,
to me, you can't top it.
And if you watch the game, they were like obviously the better team, like by far and away the better team.
33 yards at halftime for the Eagles.
Yeah, for 2.5 quarters.
Couldn't put them away. Had every opportunity.
All right, Paul's going to recap a lot of what happened yesterday in Win Some, Lose Some coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Warren Sharp joins the program now, as he does every single Monday at this time. You can get 2 weeks free when you buy a month of his service. It's a full month for the price of only 2 weeks. Sign up with the coupon code VSiN on any monthly package to get on board. All you have to do is go to sharp.football. That's it, sharp.football. Pick the package that is right for you and take advantage of this offer, only available for VSiN viewers. Warren, good afternoon. Thanks for the time as always. We were kind of laughing about Mike Tomlin and the Steelers somehow, again, finding crazy ways to win football games. Is this going to continue?
Well, it feels like it is going to in the offensive side of things because Aaron Rodgers throws the ball so close to the line of scrimmage. He's probably not going to throw that many interceptions, which really helps in the turnover margin aspect of this whole thing. But it's unbelievable if you don't watch that game. The New England Patriots had the ball on 2 separate drives at the Steelers' 2-yard line, and both times they turned the ball over in the end zone. One was an interception, one was a fumble that was recovered in the end zone. Pittsburgh this year has 27 points that they have scored off of turnovers, and they have allowed 0 points off of turnovers. Combined, they have the number 1 points off turnover margin. They rank number 1 in turnover EPA so far on the season. And this is absolutely nothing new for people that have been tracking the voodoo that Mike Tomlin brings to Pittsburgh and the rest of the NFL, because they rank number 1 in points off of turnovers over the last 4 seasons. They're plus 36 in turnover margin, which is the best in the NFL. The next closest team is number 25. And like I just mentioned, you've got now have Aaron Rodgers, who throws the ball short underneath. He's probably not going to throw that many interceptions. He has one of the lowest interception rates of any quarterback in NFL history. And if they continue to play the way that they were playing in that game against the Patriots, where a couple of shots down the field, some nice routes in the end zone that Aaron Rodgers fired the ball in. But for the most part, it was very quick, get the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands underneath. It's hard to throw very many interceptions playing like that. And if the Steelers just continue to get lucky on the other side of the ball, I mean, it's entirely possible for this to continue. It does not seem possible. It's not normal, but maybe it continues.
There's voodoo in the other direction. What's going on with the Broncos? That they blow that game against the Colts, and they were 90% win probability against the Chargers. What are you seeing on early downs with Denver? I know Sean Payton was critical of his game calling early in the season.
Very, very frustrating if you're a Broncos fan or Broncos backer. The way that Bo Nix has been playing on early downs, he averaged minus 0.41 EPA per attempt on early downs yesterday. That was second worst in the NFL, only ahead of Jake Browning. He was terrible in terms of their overall success rate, and the Broncos are dead last in the NFL. Only 32% of their early down plays have been successful so far this season. He is throwing the ball. I was talking about Aaron Rodgers and their short target depth. On early downs, Bo Nix is throwing the ball 70% of the time within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. That's actually more passes thrown short of the line of scrimmage, within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage than even Aaron Rodgers. So we're talking about a very conservative offensive approach on early downs by the Denver Broncos from a passing perspective. And then from a rushing perspective, their rushing has been terrible on early downs as well. So they are not having success running the football or passing the ball. The most perplexing thing about the whole thing is that they've got a top 10 offensive line. Their offensive line ranks number 1 in pass block win rate. So why does Bo Nix need to get the ball out of his hands super quickly underneath for very low efficiency when they've got the number 1 pass blocking offensive line? There's no reason that the Denver Broncos with that offensive line, 10 in run blocking, 1 in pass blocking, should rank dead last in early down efficiency, but it's cost them games to start the season. They got to get it back on track. I believe because their O-line is so good, they can. Mm-hmm. It's going to come down to strategy from Sean Payton and try to fix it and make life a little bit more upside for Bo Nix in the way that they're structuring this offense right now.
So Jacksonville took Travis Hunter, number 2 overall in the draft, right? Wide receiver, cornerback combo. Like, how are they going to deploy him on the football field this year? Well, his offensive snaps now and targets are way down from week 1. He had 8 in week 1, only 2 yesterday. Meanwhile, Warren, his defensive snaps are way up. 10% in week 1, all the way to 69% yesterday. They should probably be using him more at wide receiver is my guess. What have you noticed with their receivers?
Well, first of all, I was very big on Trevor Lawrence coming into the season, and I've made it very clear. I don't even like Trevor Lawrence, but I felt like in this Liam Cohen style offense, he would have some success, throw the ball a lot more, a lot short underneath passes, go over his touchdown prop, and he's still in good position to do that. But Trevor Lawrence hasn't looked very good in this offense. He just is not throwing the ball well. He's such a prototypical quarterback, but is not having a lot of success. But this is not all Trevor Lawrence's fault. 32% of his incompletions have been the result of receiver error. That is the number 1 most in the NFL. 14 of his overall pass attempts are being incomplete because of receiver error. He's got the highest rate of drops by any receiving core in the NFL. Yes, Brian Thomas Jr. is getting the bulk of the criticism, deserved. But he's not the only problem there. There's a lot of other receivers, Diami Brown and their tight end Hunter Long. They've got other players who are having higher drop rates. This is an issue for this team. It's going to cost them some games. Liam Cohen must figure out a way to get Trevor Lawrence settled even further into this offense, to get him on the same page with these receivers, and to just figure out how Trevor can either throw a more catchable ball or these receivers are just more comfortable where Trevor's going to be placing the ball based upon the route, and maybe just increase the timing and the work that these guys are putting in together. They've got to fix this drop rate. It's leading the NFL right now. It's going to cost them. It's making games closer than they should otherwise be. His EPA per attempt that he's lost due to these drops is tops in the NFL. Very
good. Great game tonight on paper. Baltimore, about a 4.5-point favorite. Total all the way up to 54 now. What kind of caught your eye when you were breaking down this game?
Well, we just saw the Cleveland Browns come in and completely eliminate the run game of the Baltimore Ravens. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we saw yesterday as well when the Cleveland Browns eliminated the run game of the Green Bay Packers. But one thing that the Detroit Lions are really good at is slowing down the run. Now, they're not quite as good against the outside zone. Cleveland's a top 5 run defense against outside zone. That's something that the Baltimore Ravens like to utilize at a higher rate. The Detroit Lions are much worse against outside zone. But I do think they're going to try to really put an emphasis. They saw what happened last week when the Cleveland Browns were able to slow down this run game, that the game was close. And eventually Lamar Jackson got over the top, but that's against a very terrible Cleveland Browns offense. Detroit's offense is a lot better. Maybe they'll have more success. Maybe they should come in here and try to slow down the run. So I'm thinking that that's going to be obviously a clear focus of theirs, is to eliminate Derrick Henry as much as possible. That's going to open things up a little bit more for Lamar Jackson. And the Detroit Lions have one of the higher blitz rates in the NFL, even though their defensive coordinator left and is now coaching elsewhere in the NFL. But they have one of the highest blitz rates. But if they don't get home from a pressure perspective when they blitz, they have the biggest straddle between getting pressure versus not getting pressure in terms of the EPA that they allow. And one of the things that Lamar Jackson has been doing is pushing the ball down the field and having success against secondaries, particularly when he's being blitzed. And they have actually a higher rate of gains of 20-plus yards when he's being blitzed than when he's not being blitzed. In 15 of 19 games since the start of last season, Lamar Jackson has had a longest completion of at least 39 yards. 15 of 19 games since the start of last year. That means 4 games went under this mark. 2 of them were against the Cleveland Browns. Not this year, but in prior years. 2 of them were against the Cleveland Browns in their last year's game. One of them was against the Buffalo Bills when Baltimore completely blew them out and was up big and didn't need to do anything late. And then one of them was against the Las Vegas Raiders. Week 2, if you remember, Gardner Minshew came into town, completely shocked the Baltimore Ravens to start last year. Yep. I think there's going to be opportunities for Lamar Jackson to throw the ball down the field, especially against some of these blitzes, and really try to make Detroit pay. I like his over longest completion of 38.5 yards.
Love the breakdowns. Thanks so much for the time today, Warren. Enjoy the game tonight, okay?
Thanks, guys. You too.
There you go. Follow him on X at Sharp Football. And again, get 2 weeks free when you buy a month of service. It's a full month for the price of 2 weeks. Here's what you do. Sign up with the code VSIN on any monthly package, betting package to get on board. All you do is go to sharp.football. Pick the package that's right for you and take advantage of this offer, only available for VSIN viewers. Again, the website is sharp.football. All right? Yep, 38.5 is the number pretty much out there across the screen that I'm seeing right now for Lamar Jackson. Love the analysis, love the breakdowns. You get it every single Monday at this time with Warren, and also he joins us twice every single Sunday morning. He doesn't miss anything, really.
No.
Right? Comes up with different stuff, different angles, like all these games, and the analysis is terrific.
Absolutely.
Yep. So over 38.5 is the one that he likes tonight. 54 now overall with the total in the game. My goodness.
Yeah. Could be like Buffalo, the week 1 game. But I think they'll be able to contain Detroit and do a better job. But as I said earlier, and we'll get to it coming up later again, in this spot, they have blown, Baltimore's blown everybody out in these marquee games at home.
Yep. Not many players are better when healthy, and he's on pace for more than 140 catches. Find out who coming up in the good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSIN.
It's good to have you on board. Monday Night Football kicking off in just over 2 hours from right now. We're live in downtown Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Right now we head out to the Progressive Guest Line. More on this big game between the Ravens and the Lions as Glenn Clark joins the program now. Longtime friend of the show. He is on the Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on X at Glenn Clark Radio with PressBox Online. Good morning, Glenn. Good afternoon, Glenn. Thanks for the time. How are you today?
It's great to see you guys, Mitch, Paulie. Appreciate you. It was great to actually be out there and see you in person this summer. Have always enjoyed coming on with you fellas.
Love talking to you. This number now moving up today, as is the total. Ravens 4.5 at most spots. I'm seeing some 5s out there as well. The total is 54 here at Circa and other spots. What do you make of those numbers?
I make of those numbers that the injuries to Nnamdi Madubuike and Kyle Van Noy are probably more impactful than the average person realizes. I pulled these from ESPN for you guys. This is pass rush win rate. The Ravens came into this week 32% on the season, 24th in the NFL. Run stop win rate, 25%, 28th in the NFL. And that was with their best edge rusher, Kyle Van Noy, and their second best edge rusher and best run stopper, Nnamdi Madubuike. I don't think people realize quite how much these two injuries are going to hurt the Ravens up front. Roquan Smith looked great last week against the Browns, but it was the Browns. They are not deep up front. They are not as deep as they were. Michael Pierce retired in the offseason. They're going to call up Brent Urban from the practice squad for tonight. They're going to need a lot from from rookies, from Mike Green, their second-round pick, Fub Peebles, defensive lineman, who was a late-round pick. I think there are going to be a lot of points scored tonight. I think they're in a little bit of trouble with those two guys. But the good news for the Ravens is Lamar Jackson still exists.
Yes. And the numbers are ridiculous, and you're well aware of them, that 24-2 against the NFC, Harbaugh in prime time at home, Lamar at prime time at home, blowing teams out in this spot the last couple of years. The numbers are staggering in this spot.
Yeah, they 10-1, Lamar Jackson in primetime at home, and the one was in 2020 when nobody was in the stadium. I mean, he is money. And look, some of that is Lamar Jackson's really good no matter what. We have tried to make sense of the Lamar Jackson versus the NFC thing for years. Half of it is Lamar Jackson's really good against everybody. And so, of course, he'd be really good against the NFC. Now, the theory that these teams don't see him as frequently, and so that impacts more, maybe there's something to it. I put that to a lot of people whose opinions I respect. They think maybe, but nobody can actually fully define it. For what it's worth, he did lose the last game he played against an NFC team. That was the Eagles late last season. But he has been dominant against the NFC. He's dominated home in prime time. There tends to be an absolutely raucous environment in Baltimore for these games. They're wearing their all-black uniforms tonight. They tend to be quite bankable. It would be hard for me to imagine betting against the Ravens in a home primetime game. And also keep in mind the last time the Ravens faced the Lions, it was when everybody was riding high on the Lions 2 years ago, and the Ravens beat them 38-6 at home. So I don't think it's going to be that. I do have questions about them defensively without those two guys up front, but I do think the Ravens are probably going to keep scoring points at will. They just put up 40 against the Browns, who have unquestionably the best defense in the NFL. And truth be told, guys, I thought did the best job I've ever seen a team do against the combination of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. And again, the Ravens still scored 40 points.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Think about that. 40-plus points and only like 240 yards or so. So if you're expecting fireworks here from both sides tonight, how creative do you want to get with some of the props, right? Because if we, in some of these games that we get on prime time, Glenn, that with a high total of 54, and if they end up going over, eventually you see the tickets come out where like the anytime, the same game parlays of like, my God, this guy scored 2 touchdowns and this guy scored another touchdown. So how overall, like, how do you want to attack it?
I'm telling you, there's almost nothing that I don't like tonight. I mean, I hate to be like boring in that way, but there's almost nothing that you're going to tell me. I definitely have a ticket on Jahmyr Gibbs over 85.5 total yards. That's at even money. I'm going to get more creative, I have no doubt, in the time before now, because I like Jamison Williams scoring a touchdown. I like DeAndre Hopkins scoring a touchdown. There's just not a lot. If Aiden Hutchinson was fully back, and I know he had a sack last week, that would give me some concern. But there's nothing about the Lions defense that suggests that they're going to have better answers. I do think the Ravens are going to try to go to the ground a little bit more because they weren't able to do that last week. The Browns were able to take Derrick Henry away early on. I think the Lions will try, but I don't think they present what it is that the Browns present up front. So I do think that this is a big Derrick Henry game. There's just nothing that I don't like offensively in this game. Maybe the one area I might stay away from, I know a lot of people are arguing that Mark Andrews is due after he hasn't done much of anything in the first 2 weeks of the season. I don't know that I buy that. I think that actually becomes more compelling once Isaiah Likely's back out on the field and maybe if Pat Ricard's back out there. But for now, I think I'd still stay away from Mark Andrews. Basically everything else, you're going to be hard-pressed for me to tell you there isn't an over or an anytime touchdown score or a prop that I wouldn't say, yeah, that works for me, because I just think it's going to be that type of game.
Well, how about this then? Why don't we look at the backup tight end for tonight only? And I know how big of a dud Andrews has been. I have him in one of my biggest fantasy leagues. How about Charlie Kohler does something tonight?
Why not? Why not? I'm all for it. Charlie Kohler is look, he's going to be more of a blocking option for the Ravens, but we have seen them in short yardage situations try to dial up things for him. Actually, you want to go even crazier. There is a player off the practice squad that they've called up 3 weeks in a row now in Zaire Mitchell-Payton, and they went to him in the end zone last week. He didn't catch the ball. I don't know what the numbers would possibly be for Zaire Mitchell-Payton. I haven't dug that deep, but they have been using him, and they want him in as a blocker in short yardage situations. So it might be worth just sort of digging in and seeing what the number might be, because he's going to be in those spots. They've been using him essentially as a fullback. He's really a tight end, and I think you could see the ball going his way again in the goal line situation.
I'm glad you brought up Hopkins. I love that guys are going out of their way to say that the old man still has it. He's not washed. He's playing well. His prop's only 20.5, and he's plus 350 to score a touchdown. How big is this acquisition?
He's been everything the Ravens needed. And the truth is, I understand the number still being low because he's not getting a lot of targets. I mean, they're just not going to him frequently. But when they go to him, he's catching the ball, and he's doing it spectacularly, and he's doing it on big plays. So that's where I would like the number hitting over, is because even if they only throw to him one time, they've thrown to him 4 times this season. But they've all 4 been catches, and they've been for about 25 yards per catch. So I love that number, because if they throw the ball to him one time, I think he's going to hit it. So I'm with you. DeAndre Hopkins has been exactly what the Ravens needed. My buddy Seren Petra in Kansas City, I remember him texting me, what are the Ravens doing? This isn't going to work. And I kept coming back to, they don't need DeAndre Hopkins to be their number. They've got that. Zay Flowers is their guy. And Rashad Bateman has been a very solid number 2. They need someone who is going to get lesser matchups and is going to take advantage of them. And DeAndre Hopkins has been, again, only with 4 targets, incredibly impactful through his first 2 games as a Baltimore Raven.
Very good. How about this now? A little bit long-term here with the Ravens. I don't want to get too nuts here after 3 weeks, but if the Ravens and the Buffalo Bills both stay relatively healthy for the entire year, Glenn, who else is coming out of the AFC? Aren't they the clear, by far and away, the best teams in that conference?
Yes, there's no question they're the best. Look, I'm probably still too dismissive of the Colts. I'm still not fully bought in on everything that I'm seeing through 3 weeks. They clearly should have lost the game to the Broncos at home, but I have to recognize there's something going on with them offensively. I guess the only other argument is the Chargers. I know everybody still has to respect the Chiefs, and I'm not going to be dismissive of the Chiefs in week 4, no matter what the Ravens do tonight. They have struggled there. I'm still going to be concerned about that matchup, but the Chargers do look legit to me, Mitch. They look like they're clicking on both sides of the ball. Jim Harbaugh seems to be bringing the best out of Justin Herbert. That throw for the tying touchdown yesterday is one of the best throws that I have seen any quarterback make, not only this season, but in recent memory. I'm not going to completely dismiss them, but they still have to face the Broncos again and the Chiefs again, and that'll be a Chiefs team that gets some pieces back. So the Ravens will have the benefit now. Like the Bengals will not be the problem that we thought they were going to be in the AFC North, so that should help them. It's going to be really difficult for them to get ahead of the Bills for the number 1 seed because of the head-to-head loss, but I do still think that's your 1-2, and I think I would be stunned if that wasn't your matchup in the AFC Championship, again, provided that the key pieces here, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, they stay healthy.
Quickly here, true or false? The Steelers absolutely stink.
They stink. You're 100% right about that. They stink. They're not good defensively. That's the crazy part to me.
No.
I get they were a little bit better yesterday, but they're not good defensively, which we've always associated with the Steelers, and they're not nearly good enough offensively to make up for it. Obviously, they had the special teams gaffe in the Seattle game in week 2, but no, they are not a threat to do anything other than exactly what they're going to do, which is win 9 games, because that's the way it works. Mike Tomlin's going to win 9 games. Yep. They're going to be in the playoffs, and they're going to be dismissed very quickly in the playoffs because they're not a very good football team.
Yeah, great stuff as always, my man. For your sake tonight, I hope it's 41-34. So thank you for the time.
Man, that would be great news for me for betting. I was going to say, let's get it over with early so we can all go to bed. I'm in favor of that. I got to work tomorrow.
Fair enough. There you go.
Paulie, appreciate it.
Thanks, Glenn. There you go. Follow him on X. He's at Glenn Clark Radio, covers the Ravens in Baltimore for Press Box Online. He was on the Progressive Guest Line.
And a huge fan of Season 2 of The Wire.
As am I. We talked about that briefly last week.
Football meets flavor with VEASAN and Omaha Steaks. the official sponsor of tailgating, built for the grill. Omaha Steak Smash Burgers, pre-smashed, crafted from premium aged beef, go from freezer to bun in just 5 minutes with juicy, unforgettable flavor. And as a VSiN exclusive, you get 16 free smash burgers with any order of $129 or more, plus 50% off site-wide. omahasteaks.com/VSiN. Minimum purchase may apply. omahasteaks.com/VSiN.
Still to come in the final 50 minutes of the program. We are going to get to, I don't want to overreact, but here after week 3 of the National Football League, maybe a little college there as well. In Pocket Plays, what we're betting for today. We'll recap the weekend as well. And up next, Paulie, I really think this dude is going to pull it off. Like, I'm there. I think you are as well. We'll talk about it next here on VSiN.